trying to get you to something else. Put away lying. Let each of you speak the truth to his neighbor. By the way, put away lying is, man, that's an age-old principle. It's not just an old covenant command. It's a life principle. Be honest. I can't encourage people enough. Be honest in every dealing you have. It's not a matter of covering stuff up. It's a matter of you not speaking the truth about what you want. And it's why you're miserable in life sometimes, because you're not saying the truth to the people that matter in your life. You're not telling them what you expect or what you want. 26. Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down. This is the scripture we all quote. Be angry and sin not. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath. And what we take away from Ephesians 4:26 is we'll go, well, anger is not a sin, but it can lead to sin. And we're not wrong. Absolutely. Be angry and do not sin. It shows me that your emotions are separate from sin. Your emotions are different from sin. The question is, what leads over into sin? What is the sin connected with anger? The previous verse said you're a member of one another. So it sounds to me like anger can take you right up to harming one another. And once harming one another happens, you're back in a Cain and Abel scenario. You've inventoried your anger, you ignored it, you went ahead and killed your neighbor, and now you're going to deal with the fallout. But I think anger can be expressed in a lot of different ways. Don't let the sun go down in your wrath seems to speak that it speaks to something deep from the Old Testament. I'm trying to bring two thoughts together here. This is New Testament, but notice the quote marks around be angry and do not sin. Those quote marks mean that this is being quoted from previously written material. Paul's a genius at pulling previously written material back into the vernacular. So Paul's quoting something from the Old Testament into a New Testament environment, but he's adding to it. He's almost adding a commentary. Be angry and don't sin, colon, in other words, here's what I think about that. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. When the sun goes down, you're in bed. That's the place where you go to rest. That's the place where you go to sleep. Don't allow that emotion to take root in your life and bring fruit out tomorrow. Because the fruit that comes out of anger is not positive. There's a way to express it and a way to release it, but not a way to own it. So go back with the, did I give you 27? Don't give place to the devil. Don't give place to the devil, by the way, this is better in the Greek. Place is the lay of the land. It's a geographical phrase. So what Paul says is, don't give the devil the lay of the land by letting your anger set in. Because when your anger sets in, you give the enemy the lay of the land in your heart. He sees some things there. He sees some things in your response. Now, go to Psalms 4. I want to show you the previously written material for a moment. I want you to remember two things. Number one, I want you to remember that Paul said, be angry and don't sin. And I want you to remember that Paul commentated on it and said, don't let the sun go down your wrath. Okay, sun go down your wrath is a go-to-bed illustration. Listen to Psalm chapter 4. I'm going to read the whole chapter, 8 verses. Try not to comment much because we don't have all day. Hear me when I call, O God of my righteousness. You have relieved me in my distress. Have mercy on me and hear my prayer. How long, O ye sons of men, will you turn my glory to shame? How long will you love worthlessness? Now here's David having a problem with his neighbor. Cain having a problem with his Abel. All right? And you seek falsehood, Selah. But know that the Lord has set apart for himself him who is godly. The Lord will hear when I call to him. Be angry and do not sin. There it is. Paul grabs that, puts it in Ephesians chapter 4. Be angry and do not sin. Comes out in the Greek as be angry and sin not. Now, meditate within your heart on your bed and be still. Remember what Paul said in Ephesians 4? Be angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down on your wrath. Look at Psalms 4:4. Be angry and don't sin. Meditate within your heart on your bed and be still. Let not the sun go down. When the sun went down in the ancient world, you went to bed. That doesn't happen in today's world. We have electricity. Sun goes down, we turn the lights on, stay up 3 more hours and watch Netflix. Sun went down in the old world, you went to bed. There wasn't anything you could do in the dark. You turn a candle on, that's about it, or light a candle, that's about it. But you couldn't continue to do household operations. You couldn't continue to clean. You couldn't continue laundry. You couldn't continue to cook. It's nighttime. What do you do at nighttime? You go to bed. That's why you woke up and got up when the sun came up. Now you had light. And so in the context of the ancient world, when the sun goes down, you're in bed, and look at what the psalmist says. Meditate within your heart on your bed and be still. You're angry, and you take that to bed. Meditate in your heart on your bed and be still. The way to really understand those emotions, it's not a matter of don't go to bed mad. It's a matter, because that we've always said that. Don't go to bed mad, you go to bed. it's more than don't go to bed mad. It's allow yourself in the same posture a man would lay down when the sun goes down. Allow yourself to meditate and concentrate on what it is that's causing you to feel the way that you feel, and be ready for the sun to come up on an answer. Be ready to have a solution on what you need to do, but it's going to take meditating and concentrating on it. It's not going to take snap, knee-jerk reaction. And that's what we've gotten used to doing with our emotions, is knee-jerk reaction, instead of meditating on that emotion. Let's go ahead and read that chapter out. 5. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness. Put your trust in the Lord. There are many who say, who will show us any good? Lord, lift up the light of your countenance upon us. You have put gladness in my heart more than in the season that their grain and wine increased. I will both lie down in peace and sleep. I'll be able to lie down in peace and sleep because I did the meditation properly to understand my emotions. Then I'll truly be able to rest because you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. It's only you that can protect me. Only you, technically, that can protect me from me. So own your anger. Be patient with people in their anger. Meditate on the cause. And ask yourself a couple of questions. Let me ask you this. Jesus walks into the temple. And he sees the money changers' tables. And he gets angry. And his response is not a sermon, not a speech, not a sentence. He talks, but his response is he grabs the money changers' table and he flips them up in the air. But before he does that, he fashions himself a whip. So he's not just going to go in and flip tables. He's going to premeditatedly flip tables. It's not a knee-jerk reaction. He owns his anger. He knows what he's going to do before he gets in the room. So he stops to fashion himself a little whip. This had to be an amazing moment for Peter, James, and John. Jesus is a nonviolent person. I've never seen Jesus do anything like this. He goes, we got to stop right here. I got to build myself a little whip. You go, what are you building yourself a little whip for unless you're going to whip somebody? Well, I'm not going to whip somebody. I'm going to whip something. I've got some anger. I got to take it out somewhere. Jesus walks into the temple. He flips the tables over. He starts whipping stuff and breaking it. He's breaking people's economy. He's breaking up lives. He doesn't hurt anyone, but he focuses his violence in a certain place. Now, I want to ask you this. How far does your anger have to go before a little bit of table turning is the proper response to how you feel? Let me ask you another question, and this one's really hard. If that was anybody but Jesus, how would you feel about it? If that incident was on the news and it wasn't Jesus, it was somebody else mad about something, turning something over and breaking it, what would your response be? You see, I don't have an answer for it, but I'm wrestling with it. Because what it teaches me is I don't know exactly how other people feel the way they feel and why they feel the way that they feel. But not all emotional responses are exactly the same. And not all emotional responses are exactly right or wrong. They belong to who they belong to. I'm watching people do stuff I wouldn't do. And before I say, look at all these people doing this, this is terrible, what I've tried to remind myself is I only know what it is to be me. I don't know what it is to be you. I don't know how it feels to be black. I don't know how it feels to be a minority. You can now give me a political speech on why I'm right or wrong for saying that. It doesn't change the fact that I don't know how it feels to be those things. You can give me talking points. It doesn't change the fact that you don't know, if you're honest, how it feels to be anything but what you are. I didn't ask you to feel bad about being what you are. I asked you to understand that you only know what you are. You don't know what someone else is. You don't understand the emotion someone else has. What's the point of this? So that maybe we can look at the anger other people have, and instead of dismissing them because we don't think they should be flipping tables, instead of dismissing their anger because we don't approve of building a whip before you walk into the temple. I wouldn't have voted for either one of those things to happen. If you'd asked me, you think we should go in there today and knock over tables? I go, no, we're not going to knock over tables. That's not how we ought to respond to it. You think we ought to stop on the side of the road and build a whip so we can break some stuff when we get in there? I go, no, what are you talking about? We're not going to build a whip and go in there and knock tables over. And yet, if it were anybody but Jesus, I'd be up here today going, this is not the right way to respond. You should never do this with your anger. But the fact that it's Jesus makes me pause. And thank God it makes me pause, because it at least makes me ask some questions I don't want to ask and that I don't want to acknowledge, because then I got to go, maybe sometimes somebody's going through something so big, so much bigger than me, so much beyond my experience. Maybe he hung the moon and the stars. And maybe he is so hurt that people don't have access freely into his Father's house that he can't not turn over some tables. Maybe he's so hurt that you would stop God's creation from getting a fair chance to get in the face of God at a temple, that you would knock over the tables because it's just not fair that they don't get the same chance that he does. And if you can get those questions out there, I think you're going to start to see that they're not that much different than some of the questions we ought to be asking today.